everybody, it's Tamara from Prairie Town Girl, if you're here from Instagram, or Tamara from ATCs. And today I am going to try to come up with an idea to replace this little folder, and this is what usually sits on my desk at work, and it holds all of the business cards that I've collected from colleagues out in the community over the years. And I don't know if people still use business cards or not, but I still collect them, and I still use this quite often. However, I just realized I have been with my company for just over 15 years, and this was something I had been using my whole entire time I was there, and it's starting to come apart. And probably somebody else used this even before me. So this is quite old, and it's time for replacement, I think. But I want to do something pretty and something interesting. So I've got a couple of ideas, and we're going to see if they work. So to start with, I have a business envelope, and this one is 12 by 9.5, and you can use whatever size you want, whatever works for you. And this is going to be pretty much the same as my wallet style journals, which you may have seen previously. It's just those ones are on a smaller scale, and that's something I would like throw in my purse to make notes and things like that. So that's why this one's a little bit bigger. And so the first step is just going to be to cover it with some paper. And it took me a while because I have so much paper. It took me a while to figure out which ones I wanted to use, but I think I'm going to put this one on the outside and this one on the inside. And this is from a very, very old pad. This is from a newer Michael's pad, but I think it's still like from last year sometime. So yeah, to start, I'm just going to use my trusty old Mod Podge. I'm going to slap it on here and glue my pages on. Battery ran out, but that's okay because that gave me some time to get some other stuff ready to go. So I think I was just saying that the first step is to Mod Podge my papers on here. So this outside one's a little bit thicker. This inside one's quite flimsy because I don't want to have it so thick that it's hard to shut. So my paper is just a tiny bit bigger than my envelope, which is great because I'm going to wrap this edge around. That'll give me a nice clean edge. So to prepare for that, while my battery was charging, I just scored a line about 1/4 of an inch in so that this will fit right in there. And the top and bottom is pretty much, there's no room for maneuvering. So, okay, let's get going. So, I can't believe how much Mod Podge I've already used. It's down to there already. I didn't think I used it that often, but apparently I do. And I even let myself use a brand new sponge brush. Usually reuse them over and over and over again. I wash them in between times, of course, and reuse them as many times as I possibly can. I'm not crazy about this one though. This has, number one, it has a plastic handle, and it's because it has a plastic handle and the sponge is quite long, it's kind of a little bit too flexible, I think. Okay, there we go. Oh, I forgot I was going to put something down underneath this so I didn't get glue everywhere. Oh well. Okay. So just keep going, and I'm using scrapbook paper, but you could collage. That seems to be the big thing on YouTube at the moment in terms of junk journaling. Everybody's collaging. Or you could use napkins, of course. You could decoupage with napkins. You could use any number of other types of paper. But I have a huge stash of scrapbooking paper, so I wanted to try to start to use up some of these pretty pages on something that I'm going to use every day and will want to look at. So I'm just going to try to make sure that's lining up nicely on that end and over here. And you know I like to use my brayer to make sure. Stick right down. Oh, now I'm making a mess. It's a little bit crooked, which meant I don't want my envelope to show along that edge. There we go. It's not too bad. Okay, so now I can really roll it on there, make sure it's on really good. And it's okay if it's not quite stuck down all the way on the edges, because I am going to sew the edges down. Partly for that reason, and partly just because I like the look. And I'm just going to run a little bead down this edge here so that I can flip this edge over. And obviously this is not, this is just a design choice to wrap it, and it's just so that I get that nice clean edge. There we go. Okay. Just give it a little bit of a bend so I can start to get that mid fold in there nice. There we go. Alrighty, so now I'm going to put this one down on the inside. And I'm not going to, for the moment, I'm not going to worry about this inner flap, although I will just crease it. It's a little bit easier to crease when the glue is still wet. Then it starts to train the paper to keep that fold. Okay, so I think, yep. We're going to throw some more glue down, and I am going to put, I'm just going to put something down underneath so that I don't get glue everywhere. Okay, so we're going to line that edge up, make sure it's just to the fold, line that top edge. There we go. And then again, you can take a brayer if you have one. If not, just lay it down. Oh, I don't like how that top edge was looking though. That's the nice thing with Mod Podge, is that it is, if you catch it right away, you can usually reposition your paper fairly quickly. There, that's a lot better. Make sure you get all the air bubbles out. There we go. So, give it a nice little roll. So I'm just going to let this dry for a little while I go and run some errands out in the cold. And then when I come back, I'm going to cut off the excess, and then I will sew down my edges, and then we'll talk about putting in a pocket or two. Okay, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I was outside and it's very cold, so I'm glad I'm back. So my piece is dried, and I've cut off all the excess, and there was a strip here that I cut off, and so I've added that to the inside flap of my closure piece. So now all I'm going to do is take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to go around the outside edges, and this is purely for decorative purposes. You do not need to do this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to add a little pocket to the inside here using this beautiful butterfly paper. So I'm just going to, I think I will cut off this little square that's sitting here, and or rectangle, I guess, and round it off, and I'm going to add that as a little sort of tuck spot, and then I will sew around the whole thing. So I will be right back, and I will show you everything all sewed up, and then we will start to put in the pages. Okay, it's all sewed up all the way around the edge, and I really like how this is coming together so far. And we've got a nice little tuck spot, and we've got a pocket in here, and then our pages are going to go in here. So let's look at the pages here, because this is where the real work comes in. So I had a bunch of my background printables printed, and I did them on 8.5 by 14, so they're a little bit longer than what I normally print. And in order to fit my little booklet, I had to cut a couple of inches off the bottom. So I did that. I cut the 2 inches off the bottom, and then what I did was take those 2 inches and I made them into little strips. And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish I would have folded them instead of actually cutting them, because it would make them a little bit more sturdier, but it's done, so I'm going to use what I've got sitting here. So now I'm going to put all of these strips, I'm going to sew them onto my insert. Now, that wasn't my original plan. Originally, in my mind, I had something that sort of was like this. It had all these folds in it, and then it would fold shut. But I played with this a bit, and I don't like it. I like how sturdy the pockets are, but you lose several inches off the length of your page, of course, because it's all folded up, and you have to really get your folds super straight. Otherwise it starts to go wonky really fast. Yeah, so I'm not going to do this idea. Instead, I'm going to take these strips, and I've laid them out. It's upside down right now. Let me turn this right side around so it makes a little bit more sense. So I've laid one across the bottom, if you can see that, and one about just over 2 inches from the top up here. And then I put one in the center, and then one each in the center of those two spaces. So I'm not going to go through all those measurements, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can eyeball it. It's nice if they all line up though. So just figure out what works for your length of your paper. So I'm going to sew each of these strips on, and they're going right across the whole page, which is nice. And then when I fold it, I'll have 2 pages done. So this is going to take a while, I think. That's the only drawback for this stage. And what you might want to do is ink the edges before you sew them down, if you like that look. I think I'm just going to leave my strips as is, just for the time being. You could I think what I'm going to do is take a glue stick and just glue the very bottom edge of each one, just so that it holds in place. If you don't like to sew, you can just use glue, but I think I'm going to sew them. We'll see. Once I start gluing, maybe I'll find that that's good enough and I'll be happy with it. But I will do that off camera because that'll be a little tedious, and then I'll come back and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so here we have our page, and I've done both sides. I don't know if you can tell, there's little strips sewn on. And so then all I'll do is fold it in half lengthwise. Go. And I'll just do this several more times to make each of the pages. So this is going to take me a while, and then it will sit right in here, and then each of my cards will go like so. And I'm actually getting one extra row than my old one. So that's nice. So maybe I won't need quite as many pages. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages already done. So I'll do a few more, and then oh, there's Katya. I think what I will probably do is sew with my sewing machine. I will sew the signature right in, and there'll just be one with however many pages I decide to do. Basically how I'll just go until I get sick of sewing these little strips on, which probably might not take very long. So that will take that, and then the last thing that will need to be done is I'm going to use this baby, and we're going to do our closure. Now, I should probably try to center this as much as I can. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I want to, I'm going to put a hole in the center here. And I probably don't need, this is probably overkill. You could probably just use a regular old punch and be perfectly fine. But there are a few layers, so I'm going to use this one. And I like the size that I get with the big size punch. And I will put down a couple of reinforcers. And I think you've seen me use these before, and they're so old that I have to add a little bit of glue each time I use them. There we go. And then one on the outside. And these were just regular old reinforcers from, well, they're from my old school stuff, but you know, they were just white or cream or whatever, and then I just took my ink and inked them up to make them look older. And I've got an eyelet here. Look at this, I got 40 eyelets for 25 cents. Oh, isn't that incredible? I got them at a sewing store. I wasn't sure if they were going to work or not, but they are working. So next time I go to Vancouver, I will be going back to that sewing store and buying up the rest of their eyelets. Okay, I could be doing this backwards, I don't know, but put that on there and squeeze. And oh yay, didn't even, sometimes it gets stuck on my punch, but looks like it's okay. Yay, I think that I like that. I like using the eyelet because it gives it a kind of a little bit of a professional looking touch. Now I just need some, here we go. I think I'm just going to use some regular old twine and just do enough to make sure that it can go all the way around. I don't know how much this is. Let's see, it's probably like, I don't know, a meter or so. And then I think I will just, oh, I might have to go from this. The two ends will go in. Make a little knot with the loop. There we go. And then it can tuck under or tie or however I decide to end up doing it. There we go. And of course it'll have all my pages inside and all of the business cards. And then I'll also have a spot to tuck things into or hide things away, that kind of thing. Oh, I like it. Okay, I'm going to do a few more of these pages and then I'll sew them in and I will show you the finished project. Okay, I've done another page, well, actually 4 pages. And while I was sewing this one together, I had a brainwave because I have enough pages for all of the business cards right now, but what if I want to do more? So the best, instead of sewing this right down, I'm going to do like a sort of traveler's notebook style. And I've got some elastic cording here. And I'm just going to tie this on really tightly. It's not quite the right color, but it will do for now. And then I can just, as I go, I can make more pages and slip them in when they're done. There we go. Okay. Make sure that's good and tight. Good. So now I can fill this up and it's all done. Wow, well that came together a little faster than I was worried it might take. Yeah, I really like this and I think this will look really nice on my desk. It'll be something that I will enjoy looking at. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's something that has been in my head for, I don't know, at least a month or so. I just had to find the time to do it. So there we go. See, that's much prettier than this. There we go. So thanks everybody for joining me today. And I know you might be thinking, well, I don't collect business cards or I don't work in an office. Why would I want to make that? But you know, there's other uses for this, of course. So you could use it for photos, like little those little Polaroid photos. Or you could, if you trade ATC cards, I think they're called, artist trading cards, you might have a collection of tags or other ephemera that you could put in here. If you don't want to make the little strips and sew them in, you could, if you have a cutting machine like a Cricut or Silhouette, you could make like a, sort of like a credit card pocket and just paste the whole thing right on top. There's lots of ideas and lots of different ways you can use this and ways that you can make it, but I hope that sparks your imagination and gives you some fun ideas, and I would love to see what you make using these ideas, and I hope to see you back here soon. Thank you very much for joining me today, and if you want to, you can like and subscribe down below. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.